Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sandbox 0.10 AMA. Ask us anything. I guess that's an AUA. Uh, we are the Sandbox team here, and we've got a presentation for you about 0.10 and all the awesome new features and changes that are coming to our ecosystem. And we've got some great presenters here who would like to tell you more about this update. So let's introduce our speakers. First of all, you probably already know me because you watch our streams. I'm Alex Florez, one of the community managers and artists here at the Sandbox. And today's speakers are Leandro Senna, our product owner and product owner of the game client, Nathan Cobard, product owner of the Three C's. Maybe we'll explain what that is for those of you who don't know in a little bit here. Quirin, the product owner of Gameplay Rules, and Alma, product owner of Gameplay Behaviors. Welcome, everybody. So
Hello.
let's go ahead and move on with the presentation. We are going to paste a link in the chat for asking questions to the team. So after the presentation, we're going to go through all of your questions and make sure that you either put them in the chat here or fill out the form that we're going to share, and we will try to get to everybody's questions today. So we're going to turn it over to the team here.
Yes. Hello, everybody. We are very excited to present to you all the stuff you can actually already test because 0.10 is already out. So both Game Maker and Game Client are on the new version. And yeah, to give you a short overview of what we did here. So one of the very cool new features we have in the Game Client is that you can actually now share your experiences you created in the Game Maker, which you just published on the gallery, with others to play in the game client. So with this link, you're now able to play it as well in the game client. You don't need to have a land to publish this to share it with your friends. Furthermore, we also looked into um, performance improvements. So for example, we have now, while you're creating your experience, indicators to help you to improve the performance so that you do not run into bottlenecks, which have give you a bad gaming experience just because you overplaced some assets or something like that. The same can also be done in the in the game play tab. So when you actually play your game, you see how it's performing. You have those indicators. So there's this is all quality of life to overall improve the gaming experience. Furthermore, we have the message inspector, which helps you to debug your experience to find those pesky messages, which can become quite a lot in a more complex game. And with this new tool, you're actually able to follow them up, jump to the assets directly to modify and configure them. And we also have the new hierarchy panel, which allows you to select multiple assets, for example, to link them together to see where you place them, to also move them around in the parentings. So it makes it also quite a lot easier to handle those assets in your game world. Furthermore, we introduced the new the new controls overlay in the Game Maker, which shows you in each scene which you select what kind of key inputs you have to basically use all of the shortcuts we have in the Game Maker, because there were a lot of those shortcuts which were kind of hidden. So now you have this overlay to explain everything you're allowed to do. And we also have now the new layer 2 asset support, which allows us to modify assets during gameplay or while they are already in your wallet. So you can actually upgrade your NFTs during gameplay, which is really cool. Then we have the new template categories. So we have more different tags we can use here to customize the search. So if you're looking for a specific topic, it's much easier to find it now. Furthermore, we have also the new resource section in the Game Maker, which allows you to find the necessary tutorials for the new features. For example, we introduced the more advanced features we have. So if you need some information, just look into the resource section and you most likely find an answer. And with this, I hand over to Nathan to the 3Cs and hopefully with the explanation what 3Cs means.
Thank you. Do you want the real one, or shall I make up something cool to throw everybody off? So yeah, I'm going to run you through the improvements that we've been making to the 3Cs in Sandbox. 3Cs is a development lingo that stands for the character, controls, and camera. In any order you like, I guess, because they're all Cs. And what it helps us do is focus on the game feel. So everything that you're getting from running around in the game world, a good camera is one that doesn't annoy you and get in the way and stop you enjoying what you're trying to play. Good controls allow you to intuitively perform the actions that you need to perform in game in order to have fun or to be able to be competitive. And a good character is one that is brought to life with good animations and feels like it's in the game world and responding in an enjoyable way to the controls and the inputs that you're making. So by focusing on 3Cs, really what we're trying to do is improve the overall feel of playing in the sandbox. And hopefully with point 10, you'll see some good improvements in this area. So I'll run you through some of the key highlights that you will be seeing. So to start with, we have a small piece here that is really just setting the scene for more work we want to do in future with the animations. So you can see that now if you're hanging around in a social space, standing idle, your avatar will actually perform these little idle breaker animations that just inject a little bit of character and life into the avatar. This is, as I say, this is the start of us kind of looking at how the avatar moves and looking at ways where we can improve how the animation systems are working behind the scenes and then take that through to more enjoyable avatar movements in game. As part of looking at the controls aspects of things, we've introduced what we call the controls at a glance overlay here. So if you tap F1 now on your keyboard, it will bring up this overlay and you can see my characters run onto the dance floor here, had a bit of a panic because they weren't sure what the emote key was, but can easily now quickly bring up the controls at a glance overlay, see that emotes are mapped to the T key, and then use that to access the dance moves. So in a game like Sandbox, where you could be doing a vast variety of different activities across different experiences throughout the whole game, we're hoping that this just helps to keep players in tune with what the avatars can do and what controls are available to them at any given moment. And this is dynamic, so as controls evolve and get updated in future, this will stay up to date as well and always reflect what is accurate. Moving on to some improvements that have been made to the swimming movement, we now have the ability to submerge. So you can dive straight downwards in order to go seeking deep sea treasure. And also when your oxygen runs out, you can now easily return directly to the surface. So rather than needing to swim around using the camera to control yourself, you can go straight up and straight down, which will hopefully make a lot more kind of interesting possibilities with the swimming gameplay and the type of experiences that can be created with water-based and underwater levels. So excited for that, a good quality of life improvement to the general swimming movement. Here we're looking at some new VFX that have been added to the teleport effect, as well as other upgrades that's been given by Alma and her team. And respawning now, we've tried to make this the series of kind of failure more enjoyable, if that makes sense. A lot of experiences that require more challenging, tricky parkour techniques and often require you to fail a few times before you eventually get that satisfaction of succeeding, cause you to respawn over and over again. And that can sometimes be a bit kind of inelegant if the camera is just snapping back to the start. So what we've done is introduce this fade to black here that nicely kind of transitions you from your point where you messed up back to where you're going to restart from so that you can have another try. Again, just trying to generally polish the experience and make it more enjoyable for players, whether they're succeeding or not in this case. Next, we've been looking at some camera improvements. Here you can see the previous jump camera. It would bounce up and down as you were jumping, which could get a little bit kind of uncomfortable to watch. What we've done now is in 0.10 release, we have a smart camera that can detect whether you're jumping and landing back on the same height. So if you're jumping on the spot here, you can see the camera's just moving a little bit so that it's staying in tune with what the character's doing, but it's not aggressively kind of bouncing up and down. However, if the avatar is to jump onto that higher platform in front of them, the camera will elegantly move up and follow them to keep them well framed. So this smart camera hopefully will make some of the more intense platforming and crazy parkour experiences a little bit more nicer to navigate and hopefully more fun to navigate as well. You can see here doing a sequence of jumps. The camera is no longer needing to go up, down, up, down, up, down. It's framing the action nicely and helps me land my jumps and get across this section of gameplay. And then I believe next we're going to look at this in action across a slightly more complex level as well. There's a little bit of damping that's been added to the movement of the camera. So as the character moves side by side now, it's not completely fixed one-to-one. There's a little bit of ease in and ease out just to, again, make it feel a little bit nicer to use. And hopefully a good camera is one that doesn't draw your attention to it too much. It should be one that just allows you to get on with playing the game and enjoy the actual experiences that you're playing. Lastly, from me, I believe here we have a new jump animation. You can see the avatar throwing their arms out to the side as they do this huge jump off the platform here. Again, this is a precursor to our desire to look at how the avatar is moving and really bring that up to the next level so that they're even more fun to take control of and play around with in all of the different experiences available in the sandbox. And with that, I'll hand over to gameplay rules system. Is that with you, Alma?
No, that's actually
No?
again with me.
Brilliant.
Yes. So in the last version, we introduced the rule system and we started to look into it a bit more and more. And we introduced a new HUD for it. So we had a very technical look for the variables, and now we introduced a much more refined design here. So here we see, for example, the variables and the different states we can have. For example, we can have show a maximum value, you can show percentage, progress bars. So everything is possible here now, and we can visualize during gameplay. Another example here is the new banner and also the new pop-up we introduced into the game. This is all designed to look similar to other elements we have in the game. So for example, the pop-up you will see again today, I think. Another new implementation is the new top slot element. So this is a much more focused element in the center of the screen. It's bigger than the ones on the left side, which you see here popping up in the different variations. So this is maybe the main resource. So for example, if you have a racing game and you want to have a main game timer, this would be visualized in the top slot. And to see this in motion, we have a little game example here. But we not only worked on the HUD, we also worked on new rules. So for example, we have two new rules, which is the entry and exit rule, which tracks if a player enters or exits the experience. So this can be used, for example, to count the players joining an experience to, for example, improve the difficulty of a game. So think about Diablo. If you have players joining your party, the monsters are getting stronger, and if they leave, the monsters are getting weaker. So this is something we could replicate now with this new rule. And also a small but quite important feature is that we are able to also store the player's name in a variable. So with this, we are also able to now create, for example, rankings. So you can display the top player in a variable and display it on the HUD, for example. A very, very cool feature is the key input rule. So we have a new rule which allows you to set up functions based on a key input. It's for now limited to the key inputs from the number keys 1 to 0 and to the mouse buttons left, middle, and right button. Nevertheless, this allows for a very, very cool new arts of game modes and gameplay, which we already saw a lot of examples of. And we also see a lot of examples later on. Then we also improved the math calculations we have. We introduced a new math rule, which combines all of them. So we are now also able to calculate more complex things. So for example, we also have the new option to divide. And with the division, we also introduced the float variable so that we can also show decimal numbers now again. Furthermore, we have the broadcast rule, which is quite interesting to send out messages based on based on rules. For example, if you calculate something and you reach a specific value, you can use the broadcast rule to send out messages to different systems. A very, very cool feature is actually the option to share your rules now. So you can copy and paste rules in the editor by just clicking on them, selecting them, and then using the Control C and button combination to store it to your clipboard, and then you can paste them either in an editor outside of the game maker or into the grid board. So for example, you can create a very cool game mechanic in the rule system, copy it and share it with your friends in Discord, for example, or via email. And they can just copy this code and repaste it into their editor and use it again. So this is a very powerful tool to share knowledge in the community. Furthermore, we worked on some KPI tracking. This is more for us in the background, but we use this to help you actually if you have trouble with your experiences. This allows us to better monitor what could have gone wrong in the experience. We also had to focus on performance improvements so that both in the game maker and in the game client, the rule system runs smoother. And we also included the message debugger for the message inspector so that you can also follow the messages from the game world to the rule system. So if you have a specific message and you want to see where it's used, and if it's used correctly, you can follow it both in the game world and in the rule system. And with that, I hand over to Alma.
Thank you, Corinne. So, guys, so I'm going to take you over some of the new gameplay behaviors and components that we introduced in 010. First of all, our focus has been mostly on incorporating new gameplay features for multiplayer. So one of our main goals for that was introducing teams. We're working together with rules for that. The spawn point here behavior will let you set up whatever you want your players to spawn. This will allow you for multiple spawn points within the same experience, and each spawn point will have its own team if you set so. Um, this team can have different tags and different equipment. So, for example, if you want a red team versus a blue team, you can set that up within the spawn point. We also, thanks to the new team message system, send different messages to different teams. So this creates a very cool gameplay within an experience. Next up, we have the projectile behavior. The projectile can be set up to send messages when colliding. As you can see, it's an object that gets projected into a different place with a different speed and force. And it can be, and their BFX can be set up too. So you can apply gravity to them. It's very cool feature. I hope I get to see some new innovative gameplay coming through with this. There's also the consumables. The consumables are a feature within the collectible behavior that you already know. And what you can do with this is you can set up a message for the collectible that you've already picked up to be sent through the inventory once you consume the item. So you can use them, for example, to create potions to heal up or damage the player using the buff and debuff system that is already in place in 09. You can also add BFX to them, so you could potentially have a cool BFX showing once you trigger a consumable. Next up, we have the raycast. This is different to the projectile. You won't see the object flying through, but it is a ray triggering a message when set to a specific place. So this allows for like more precise feedback once you trigger it, and it's great for feedback for visuals and puzzles. It also allows for shooting only in single player. Um, so yeah, this is mostly for sending messages to precise points. Next up, we already have the void and the multi behaviors for single player. In case you're not familiar with them, what both of them do is work with blocks. The multi basically spawns blocks, and the void deletes the blocks. We've also changed the way that they work for them to be more for them to affect more narrow paths. So you will be able to create more precise sculptures with them. And they are fully functional in multiplayer right now, so you'll be able to trigger them in multiplayer. So we also have smaller features. We have the NFT image display now supporting GIF format, as you can see in the image. You can set up any OpenSea, Ethereum, Girly Network GIFs that you want and use them within the image display. Within the spawn point, we've also allowed for certain components to be available to be attached to the avatar. So you have the light, the play sound, the VFX, and the health within the avatar. As you can see here, we are using the light and the VFX components. You may have noticed I set light as a component because some of the behaviors have been switched into components to allow for more compatibility within components. Behaviors only allow for one per asset. So this is now possible. We've also merged the curio within the collectible. What this will improve is basically delay times and better UX for the creators. Um, you will have an option within the MP collectible to choose between global and local collectible. There's many more. As I mentioned before, we've switched the plant, the VFX, and light behaviors into components for more interconnection between them. Checkpoints now support spawn orientation, so you will be able to set up where the player is looking once they reset into that checkpoint. And we've also merged the custom mesh behavior inside the video streaming behavior, so you will be able to set up the size of the screen that you want to choose. So that would be it for behaviors and components. I hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed creating them. And I'm gonna present for the audio team right now. So the audio team is working on some very cool features for this and the following quarters. Right now, we've worked with them to change the volume of the audio through in-game messages. I'm not sure the audio is playing.
Alex, you have to, yeah. Okay.
Listen to me. By accepting this earpiece, you've just embarked on a very important mission, especially as time is running out. Several of our security guards are suspected of trying to sabotage our facilities and spoil the Snoop party. We need someone from outside the organization to act, so as not to arouse suspicion. We're going to direct you and give you instructions about your mission as you go along.
All right, so this is a message that can be sent from any message broadcaster within the game and can be set to the play sound. Okay, next up. And we can also enjoy a general video to see different ways in which this can be used.
A friend told me about something really cool earlier. Apparently, Snoop is having a private party at a hidden location on his property.
Really? Where?
Someone told him that the party is held underground. My buddy also told me that, hey, have you heard about Snoop's private party? If you've got any info, don't hesitate to drop it.
I think it's all rumors because I...
As you can see and hear, this is a great improvement in terms of immersion for players.
A friend told me about something really cool earlier.
So, next up, happy to present Leandro Sena, PO for the game client.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here watching us presenting this cool stuff that we have been working on for the first part of the year. As you may know, the game client 0.10 is now live too, and this includes some new cool features, starting for a revamp of the welcome screen. As you can see, the new welcome screen is animated and has some additions as the information of the creator, as well as it's now aligned with the entire game client UI UX. As you may know, the goal of this year for us is to level up and bring the game client UI UX into a new level. And that includes going through all the screens in the game and setting the new quality standard or moving those to this new standard. This, as you can see, is the welcome camera showing the video in the background. Ideally, for us, it's important to welcome the players in our experiences with a good look, and this will be the case from now on. You can try it in 0.10 already. To summarize, what we include here is a UI improve for the readability, UI animations, as we are doing with every new UI that we are revamping. As I mentioned, the creator picture and contact is there to be visible for everybody. Then we have also in 0.10, there you go. New addition for the social task. We have new a brand 16 new emotes that you can trigger from the emote wheel, but also because this is coming bigger and bigger, we decided to reorganize the emote wheel in a way that is easier to use. Now we will have 5 different categories, including moods and stickers, and the rest are the existing ones with a better distribution. As you can see here, you can see the moods section where you can have special expressions for the avatar. We also have in this new build 4 new dances that you will see and show in the video. I will let you look at it without speaking. Of course, this came with the creativity of the animation team that is providing us with these cool animations time to time. And it will be great for you to socialize with your friends and fellow players in the instances you are playing. Also, we have in this version the new, as I mentioned, sticker section in the mode wheel, and the stickers are brand new and basically includes. Um, this is not the right video. Sorry. There you go. Stickers. This is a new feature that we introduce right now. You will have in 0.10 that you can play now 8 different stickers for you to express different emotions to your fellow players that are with you. Those include just 8 generic expressions that are dedicated for this. In the future, our plan is to expand this into more um, stickers. And as you can see, both those stickers are animated and are working in multiplayer, so everybody can see the stickers if they are around you in the experience. So to summarize, we have the new UI that goes through different sections, the new stickers, and a brand new and the 16 new emotes to be played for the avatar in the experience. Following up with more improvements on the UI side and usability, we introduced some cool features in the social aspects, particularly in the chat. As you can see now, you have bubbles behind the chat, so it's easier to read and in general, the reliability with the different background and contrast is easier to see. And also this includes, as you may see, a new blur effect behind every single component in the UI, including the chat, has this blur effect to improve also the reliability between different screens on the game. Um, Summarizing, we also have an update small in the backend tool that we use for the chat in order to improve stability and some minor bug fixing. And now we will talk about the NFT gallery. Right now you have in-game, or before this version, in-game client, you were able to explore the different NFTs that were part of the experience you have been playing. Now the new UI distribution allows you to go through different categories, the same way that you can find it in the marketplace. So now it's aligned one-on-one with the way we display the information in both products. And also you can explore the different NFTs and see the details, the network they belong to, and also a cool picture of the NFT in a bigger size. And then if you decide that you want to have it on your own wallet, you can go straight to the marketplace and purchase it directly. Also, this new NFT gallery improvement brings the new, as you may know, we have now assets that are mint in layer 2. So now we are displaying those with the catalyst and more. And another improvement that we did, also following this idea of leveling the UI in general to a new level of quality, we have the avatar change feature that was slightly ramped. Now you can also change the avatars as it was before, but with the new UI UX and UI style improved. Now you can actually go straight to the website in order to explore more collections. But if you have more than one avatar in your wallet, you can change dynamically on the client inside the inventory. And also in this version, we introduced the new pop-up system, which is not only a visual refactor, but also code-wise, it improved a lot of code and performance. But from what you can perceive from the game client itself, we now have unified the style of the pop-ups along the whole product, or we are in the process of. So we have reviewed all the CTAs and text, and also the style of the pop-up that, as you can see, is the same across the different part of the game. Also, we changed the session ending flow. Now, instead of looking at the games that are near to you, what we are showing here is suggested game that go through the entire metaverse. So every time you reach the session ending screen, you will always get at least 4 games in this screen to continue discovering around you. Usually, this game will be populated not only by suggested by us based on an algorithm, but also to your position on the metaverse. This is part of the process. You will see more in the upcoming 0.11 version, but this was implemented already and you can experiment with that in 0.10. Also, this is for, we are kind of revealing some information beforehand. In this game client, we have a new way of showing your progression through the season, but I won't speak much about this because the upcoming season is begin um, published soon, and we will have more information about it soon. So I will pass to myself to talk about the launcher. As you may know, I'm also the PO of the new brand new launcher feature. If you downloaded recently the client from the website, you may have noticed that we have now a new application that has in place the that is called the TSB launcher or the Sandbox launcher. That application will now allows you to update, and I can click on play. If someone can click on play for me, please. Um, in this application, you will have the different products that we have, starting by the game client. You will see on the short video how it works. Basically, you can install a small application super fast, and from there start downloading the client that now downloads faster. But the bigger improvement happen from version to version. Now that we have the launcher, we can promote updates to the client without the need of you download the entire client again and install it from scratch. So, for example, as you may have seen, the patch that we did over 0.10 take less than 25 megabytes to be updated. That was super fast in our case. In the future, our plan is to continue introducing the rest of the application of the TSB ecosystem in here, which means that we will eventually have in here both Game Maker and VoxEdit as products that you can download from the same launcher. Okay, my click for, there you go. So to summarize, this will improve, of course, the entire experience from starting playing by downloading this small application on the launcher from the website, and it will have controls and information that is relevant for you before actually jumping into the game, and will be integrated with the first time user experience that we will release soon, um, that will drive you from one place to another with ease. And that will be all of my case. I don't know who will take over from here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I will take over. Um, we also created some showcases for you, just to to give you an example of what you can do with the new features. And this is just for you to enjoy. Nothing much to explain here. And with that, a bit more experimental examples in the end. we come to the end of the presentation and to the questions, but just for you as a little reminder, so we have enhanced creation tools to make it easier and better to analyze the games you make and how to work with tools. We have immersive gameplay and audio features introduced with this version. We have the optimized performance. So this is something we didn't stress in this presentation a lot, but one big feature is that we could reduce the loading times by a lot. So by a lot, I mean nearly by 200%. So we have doubled the, or no, um, we significantly reduce the waiting time when you load a new experience, which you can really feel. And we have the new enhanced social interaction features with the emotes and the improved chat features. And we have also the very strong 3C upgrades and also a strong lookout for future updates for the character control. And with that, enjoy the last video of today's AMA, and then we get into your questions. Can you please click on play? Or you can't. Yes, you can.
Just starts playing again on its own. All
Yeah.
right. So, thank you everybody for watching. Be sure to be asking your questions in the chat. We've already got a whole bunch lined up, so we're going to ask those from the team and see what they have to say. So, first question, and I like this question because I want to know, comes from Binkoverse. When is the leaderboard going to be in game for creators? Because I know we already have it set up for staff, but when are builders going to get access to setting up their own
Yes.
leaderboards?
So we have it already set up, as you mentioned. So it will be introduced for the players, most likely in the season. So we will first see the leaderboard in use. Basically with the next upcoming season. For the public creators, we will unlock this feature most likely in July, because we are currently implementing the tools you need during the publishing process. Because at the moment, for example, resetting the database of the rankings is currently still a manual process, and if we have, well, a lot of creators using the rankings, it will be a lot of effort for us to support this. So we just need to wait for the tools to be in place, to be implemented, and they will be implemented, or they are currently implemented. And most likely in July, we have everything in place and we can set it up for the public release by then.
For the leaderboards related to in relation with the seasons, those will be introduced in 011. So for the next season, the real leaderboard will be present. And the idea is that for the end of the year, if any event use a leaderboard, that will be present also in the game client.
All right. Next question coming from Pickaxe Master. Are there any plans to have the game rules on single player experiences running through the Sandbox servers? Maybe they can elaborate in the chat what they're looking for with that, unless you guys understand the question better than me.
Yes. So the thing is that the rule system is currently running on a server-based architecture, so that makes it impossible for them to communicate with single-player components and behaviors if you're setting it up in a multiplayer game environment, so or on a server-based game environment. So if you would create a single player experience, it would be possible to have it communicate with the single player components, because then everything is simulated on the game client. So the server is also the server we need for the rule system is also running on the game client. Nevertheless, if you have a multiplayer experience, you always need to have the rule system communicate with multiplayer behaviors, because otherwise we have an issue with the communication. We will introduce in 0.11 a new workflow so that you can actually set up the experience beforehand if it's a single player or a multiplayer experience, and then you will only be able to use the tools that are working in multiplayer. Another thing which we will introduce in 0.11 is that we will port the objective system to multiplayer. So because I think that's the main issue at the moment, that the rule system cannot speak directly to the objective system. And that will be fixed by the release of 0.11. So in this case, we then can speak directly from the rule system to the objectives as well.
All right. Hopefully, Pickaxe, that answers your question a little more thoroughly. I see you kind of followed up about that, but I think it covered everything. Another question from Pickaxe Master is: Are there any plans to monetize through in-game sales of variables? For example, spend 1 sand to get 10 in-game coins.
I can say at least at the moment, no. So we are looking into different kinds of monetization models. But what I can say is that a direct in-game monetization with the cryptocurrency is not in plan, because that would basically mean that you have to have a transaction verified during gameplay constantly, and that makes it really difficult on one hand, and on the other hand, a very unsatisfying gaming experience for players, I would say. But there is models we are currently looking into, and once we have more to share here, we will definitely do that.
I could add one note to that. Platforms like Apple are not super keen on having you spend cryptocurrency in game. So as we look forward to potentially having game client and stuff on mobile devices on iOS, that's a big concern about if you can do those kinds of things. And there's all sorts of regulations and stuff around that. So uh, yeah, it's a complicated subject. Another question for Pickaxe Master: Is saving game variables on a user profile planned for 0.10?
So I can say for 0.10, no. But it is a topic we are looking into quite strongly, which is basically persistence. We are we created a team specifically dedicated to this topic. So in the next presentations for 0.11, you will see a new PO joining this round, which will be the persistent squad PO. And yeah, from version to version, we will introduce more and more tools to persist gameplay. But for because as stated before, we are currently focusing a lot on multiplayer. The persistence is also for now looking into multiplayer scenarios and not into single player. That's also an issue of anti-fraud systems, because if you have the stuff running on your client, it can be manipulated quite easily. So that's why we focus first on multiplayer, but not only on multiplayer. So if there is an option, we will obviously also introduce it for single player.
All right. Next question comes from Meow. The debug validators are indicating an error. The amount of actor instances is very high. Max suggested amount is 50. Are there any plans from the development team to optimize this? Because the suggested maximum of 50 seems impractical, as a 1x1 map could easily have more than 500 instances.
So we are addressing this. We're constantly trying to improve performance. In this case, in 010, we introduced a system called relevancy that helps behaviors be less performance consuming, so that they are turned off once you're far away from them. This is an example, but we're constantly trying to find new ways of improving this. I think it's a big topic, and we are working on that. Yes.
All right, also from Yell, the new level of detail system, while helpful for optimizing the scene, restricts players from seeing distant objects, which might not be suitable for all experiences. Can we get a slider to adjust the range, or give us a toggle to turn it off? Maybe specifically important for like a really large building or a mountain, something in the distance. Less important for like a pebble or a flower.
I think that's definitely something we can look into. I think it needs some thoughts. So because it was introduced to lessen or improve the performance and lessen the impact on the game client. So I think if we find a smart solution here, then definitely yes.
All right. And one last question from Miel. Any plans to let creators use variable values like numbers and texts with inputs? For example, with the new projectile behavior, it would be more flexible to use variables instead of duplicating projectiles and spawners, and also the comparisons in the rule system.
Yes, that's definitely something I'm in discussion with Alma. So I think in the future we would like to have variables also available in components and behaviors, because yes, I agree, it makes it much more flexible. And I saw also in the questions here the question about if it would be possible to set up a random behavior for the projectile, so that you can have a random direction. So this would be, for example, also it is possible at the moment with a bit of a more complex development path. So you could, for example, set up multiple projectile components, and then have the random number generator from the rule system, and then just send out different messages and activate the projectile or projectile component you want to actually address. And then you could have basically a random system, but with the variables introduced here in the components and behaviors, this would be much easier, because you didn't have to compare anything, or you could just set it up directly. So yes, definitely something we are looking into.
All right. Question from Anna and Joyce. Can we have self-choosing team behavior at like the spawn point? allow players to choose which team they're joining, as opposed to it being random the way it is right now.
So, two things. We are working on that with behaviors. It will be for a future build, probably not 0.11, probably more 0.12. But apart from that, we're working on a general system, a proper matchmaking system that will allow you to join friends and select the team that you want to join, which is more of like the correct solution to that.
Awesome. Question from MRTGCT. What are your Q3 and Q4 2024 targets for the Sandbox project? What's coming up besides team matchmaking system?
A lot. So we
Good
have a
answer.
lot in planned, and I think it would be too much to explain everything here. That's a presentation in its own. But yeah, we have, for example, one big topic for my team would be, maybe we can go around and have one big topic for each team here. So for my team, it's, for example, the quest system. So as I just mentioned, we are porting currently the objective system to multiplayer, but we do not want to stop there. We want to improve it to a real full-blown quest system, based on a yeah, kind of visual scripting, so that you can actually link the quests with each other, so that you can draw a real quest line, and also improve and introduce a dialogue system to it, so that you can set up a quest, both the text, so you no longer need to have the asker behavior, or something like that. You can set it up. You can set up branching quest lines. So if you, for example, fail a quest, that does not necessarily need to be the end of the quest line. You can just skip a failed quest and go into another direction, because now you're in the loser bracket. Alma, do you have a big feature you want to highlight?
Yeah. Quests are really cool, by the way. I think for us, the main topics Q3 and Q4 are going to be first the crafting, which will allow you to craft assets and set them up as recipes from the creator side. And we also have every enemy NPC that we have right now in the game maker that is pretty outdated. So the melee enemy, the soldier, is going to work as a fully fledged NPC enemy behavior system, allowing you to patrol, to fight in different combat mechanics. So I think those are the main two topics.
Also looking forward for the crafting.
Yeah.
Cool. Leandro, what about you?
Hey there. Well, our plan, as I mentioned before, is to bring the UI of the product to a new level. In the upcoming version, you will see new animations for the entire UI, as same for new sounds for the UI interactions. But in the long term, our plan is to change or improve greatly the navigation flow inside of the client, allowing you to explore the more important section of the ecosystem, including events, season that is coming in 0.11, and also to navigate through different experiences in a faster and simple way that we do now. As for the launcher, the long-term for this year plan is introduce Game Maker and VoxEdit as part of the product, but also to introduce the new events and season section in the launcher, so you can explore some of the events ongoing without the need of going to the website.
Cool. Nathan.
For us, we're planning to continue to improve the way the avatar moves through the experiences, as well as looking at new ways to move in experiences as well. So I'll keep it high level for now, but lots of exciting things in the works for future.
Cool.
All right, those are some exciting previews. I know we can't say too much on those things without getting in trouble. So let's move on to this question from Sandbags. I really like stickers. Will new ones be added, or will we be able to add our own?
In regard to the stickers, we will introduce for sure more stickers in the future. But as for UGC stickers, it's not yet planned because we are still in the discussion of how the business model for the sandbox will be. So there are some pending decisions, but for sure we will have more stickers later this year.
All right. Again from Sandbags, the emote wheel has become a little bit difficult to navigate. Uh, will you be able to improve this by having options at the top for stickers, dances, etc., or maybe like pinned sections?
Actually, we have a prototype already working, but was discarded because we need to continue working on it. But yes, the plan is to have favorite sections in the mode wheel that allows you to customize your favorites or preferred emotes and stickers, so you can have it at glance on the first or second page, depending on the amount of pages that we want to have. It's on the plans and will be delivered later this year.
All right, and one last one from Sandbags. Uh, actually, we just answered this question. Any beans you can spill over what you're working on next? So we already went through that. Going on to Lobster Army. That's a great name. I think a save feature is very much needed to help improve player base and retention. Is this something you are working on?
Yeah, as mentioned before, that's the persistence feature we will be working on this year, and that will be introduced. Yeah, I don't know if we already have something in 0.11, but we will have at least some features in the end of 2024.
All right. I think we kind of already answered this one about optimizing experiences. Um, I guess the Lobster Army is also asking, are we working on more robust systems to optimize experiences to show where performance is being limited?
I think it's not my main expertise, but I'm pretty sure as we already introduced it, the systems with 0.10, we will continue to improve this and to have more indicators and more detailed indicators on how to improve your experience.
Right. Lobster Army's last question. They say the launcher is a great addition. However, I feel a need for a search function within the launcher itself so we can navigate experiences uh, right on the launcher or even the events page um, for things like seasons.
In the short term, our plan is to expand the amount of experiences that you can explore in the launcher. Not the entire metaverse, of course, but just some of the sections like features or trending experiences. But also, our plan is to add the events and season section, as I mentioned before, so it will be easier for the user to explore different options to start with from there. Of course, the long-term plan is not to mimic the entire website in the launcher because they are, of course, different products. And in the website, you will always have more options to explore, as for the map, for example. But for this launcher, we believe that having more sections and more experiences, and also the events and ongoing season will be enough for player at least.
All right. Um, uh, Hug HG. I'm not sure how to say. Oh, Huge Grain, I think. How do you upgrade an old project to the new game engine? Um, it's mostly automatic. I do have a
Yes.
follow-up question
Yeah.
to it though. You can. I would always recommend duplicating your experience when you upgrade to a new version. So you should still be able to open it and edit in the new version. But just to be safe and have an archive of your old work, you can always click on the little menu and duplicate the experience before you start editing it in the new one, and just note which version you're using. Question I have though, something we found on stream last night is you can on a new game experience that you're building, you can press Control D to duplicate the spawn point, so you can create multiple team spawn points. But when trying to do that on an old experience, it wouldn't let me do it. And I don't know if there's something, some setting on the spawn point that's not letting me do it, or if it's just because it's an old game version file. But maybe something to
So
look
it's an
into.
old version file that you updated to 0.10?
Yeah, I built an experience in 0.9 just a few weeks ago, and then I tried duplicating the spawn point, and it just wouldn't do it. So maybe something to look into. I'm not expecting to know right off the
Yeah.
top of your head. Question from Axel the Third. I would like to know if there's any news in regards to renting land. The ability for landowners to rent out to creators to build on their space.
So that goes again into the direction of possible economic strategies we are looking into. So I know at least it was discussed if this is a possibility, but again, nothing concrete. It's still open to discussion, and once we have a better, firmer grasp on how it's looking, there will most likely be a presentation about it directly.
All right. And this question kind of goes towards like level design, game design, building. When will we have concerts in the metaverse? Like Snoop Dogg in the Sandbox. Um, I don't know if anybody has a specific comment on that, but I have some suggestions.
Nothing concrete. I know the Snoop season is in the making, and it will come, and it will most likely have concerts in it.
I think we saw in the last video we showed there you appeared to be climbing on a giant Snoop Dogg. I found that very interesting. There was other Snoop Dogg related stuff in those videos. So if you missed the videos during this presentation, go back and watch the recording of this, because you might find some hints for the future sprinkled in there. Um, from a level design and game design kind of perspective, uh, there's a lot you can do with the animated decoration behavior, and with all the multiplayer features. Um, there's a lot that you can do now with crowd events to have players dancing along to a song, activating an event. You can make an animation on a performing character, change what they're doing. You could change what audio is playing. You can change the lighting, the VFX. So there's really a lot that you can do to set up a long format um, concert type event. And I wish I could remember the name. I know Tempest Studios is here in the chat. They built something kind of like that in a social hub a few months ago. And I can't remember the name, but maybe Tempest can share in the chat the name of the experience they worked on. Great giant performing robot kind of thing. And so you can definitely set up concert type events in the sandbox now. And if you're ever curious about learning more about those features, you can always check out our various streamers, whether it's me on the Wednesday and Saturday show. Warp Sound, thank you, Tempest Studios. I knew it was in there. Yeah, I need custom uploads, and it's ready. There's questions related to that we'll get to. But yeah, my show on Wednesdays and Saturdays. You've also got Cyber Dragon answering questions like that with his workshops, and Crafter is going more for the basic stuff, but he might also have some things to share about that. So be sure to ask our streamers who are building on the stream about stuff like that, and we're happy to share how you can set up all sorts of cool custom events in your experience. Pickaxe Master would like to ask, are there going to be custom heads-up display colors?
Yes, In moderation. So we will allow in the future for more customizability on the HUD. But we want to limit the choice because I know we have great creators, but with great power comes also great responsibility. We know all of that. It is we want to have a when you open up the sandbox and you play something, we try to follow this idea that it actually feels great and it looks great, whatever kind of game you open up. So therefore, we will limit the choices you have while still giving you a lot of choices to select from. So, for example, you will be able to select maybe a color scheme, maybe a layout, but it will apply to everything at the same time so that everything within your game looks great, but still follows your vision. But we don't want to have a complete let's call it a complete mess because we have complete freedom. So it's in moderation, but yes.
All right. Question from Tom Voxel specifically for Mac OS. How do we get the FPS counter and other stats to come up in Mac OS? F11 is not seeming to work for Mac users right now. Is this a system limitation or user error?
Sorry, I didn't get the first part of the question.
The like frames per second and RAM usage, GPU usage. It seems like F11 is not working on Mac to bring that up. Is that a system limitation, or is there some other way to bring it up on Mac?
No, it could possibly be a bug actually. So we have to look into that. Thanks for catching that. And most likely it was already caught and someone has already worked on it.
Cool.
But sorry, not my expertise, so that's why I was a bit stumped here.
All right, we'll get back to you, Tom Voxel, on that. Julie Sancho asks, can we assign the player name into the variables?
Yes. So you can basically store a player's name into a variable and then, follow up with that.
Cool. Question from Heim. I want to know. Oh, we already answered that one. Sorry. Moving along. Uh, uh, A Manovic asks, will the system requirements for the game maker and the game client increase, or are they staying where they are? Maybe they'll get easier.
That's at least what we try to aim for, yes. So we at least try to leave it as they are and maybe make it even, so lower the minimum requirement, but we try not to increase them.
All right. I believe we already answered the one about randomly changing projectile trajectory. Tom Voxel asks, will users be able to upload their own audio anytime soon?
Yes, this is something we have planned for Q4. The reason it takes so long is that we need to introduce a system that moderates what content is being uploaded into the platform. But it is definitely coming this year or early next year, most.
We've talked about that on the stream before. That
Hmm.
audio moderation is very important. You see
Yes.
sites like YouTube and stuff. YouTube and Twitch both have automated systems that check for copyright violation. It's very important if you want to keep your platform alive and not bogged down in lawsuits. So yeah, we got to be careful around that stuff. Sort of a related question. NFT Santum asks, when custom sound with 0.10, can we disable the default sounds, disable the sound of walking, swimming, jumping, etc., change them to something else?
Basically goes along the same route, right? So it needs to be moderated. But I think that's something we are looking into, and we also want to have like custom sounds for avatars, so that avatars are sounding different based on, well, if you're playing a Smurf or a Sasquatch.
All right, another question from NFT Santum. Does the new 0.10 dive into the water update work with the fixed camera? The
I
static camera.
believe that hasn't been changed. So it's what we showed off was with the third person camera, and that's the new addition. If I remember correctly, there's more design consideration needed about how it should best behave with fixed cameras, and obviously we don't want to break a bunch of experiences by changing existing functionality without really like thinking it through and making sure it's an improvement. So what you saw there is for the third person camera, where it's definitely an improvement, and if my memory serves correctly, it hasn't changed the behavior for fixed cameras.
All right. Question from Metasaurus Rex. I would like to be able to add AI personality to NPC characters. Is that coming in the future, like ChatGPT integration for NPCs?
I guess I would need more definition on this. What do you mean by personality?
Like
Yeah, it
they,
would be,
no, go ahead.
yeah, something like like if you ask a question, then the AI picks up yeah, your question and answers accordingly. Um, Actually, that is interesting. I like this idea quite a lot, but I also saw a lot of there are a lot of companies actually trying this at the moment, and I read an article about it, that it is actually quite tricky, because I read about a detection game, and you had to ask questions to find the murderer, and they actually had to make scripted answers into it, because otherwise the AI would lie so well, that the players were not able to find the murderer. So that they had to put in like the if you ask the correct question, they would trigger the answer from the script, and so it's really interesting, but it opens a whole new yeah, set of problems we would need to address, and so could be interesting. Let's see. So, for example, I think a good way would be if maybe in the future we could introduce like APIs, so that we can add external programs to the code, so that we have like yeah, basically add-ons we could add into the game maker.
All right. Tobencraft says that the multiplayer experience has a noticeable delay between key input and the activation of projectiles, which affects shooting games. Is that something that is being worked on to improve that delay?
We are working on some improvements for not 0.11 but 0.12. The thing is, projectiles are not supposed to be used for shooting in multiplayer. They were designed more to work as turrets. So it is something that we are working on. It will never work at the same level that a shooting mechanic would work on a multiplayer game.
All right. Let's see. There's some more questions in the chat that I'm finding here. Uh, Not Jackie Chan says, any chance there could be a new inventory slot, like a trinket slot, where you can place any non-equipment sandbox asset to use its essence or its stat points. You know, some of our assets that are non-equipment have speed, defense, power on them, so you can get a trinket boost. Maybe it would open up the asset market to players as well as builders.
I'm not sure I get this one.
So I think it's like a custom inventory slot,
Yeah.
where you can basically design your own equipment for your experience. So we would provide a slot in the inventory, and then you could add customizable equipment to it, which is not relying on our current NFT structure. So the current NFT stats.
It might also, I mean, maybe not Jackie Chan can clarify in the chat, but I think they're also asking, could you just equip, non-visually an item you already own? So like, let's say you have an alpha dragon from alpha season 1, 2, I don't remember when that was from. So far back now. Uh, that has, power and defense stats on it. If you put that in your trinket slot, could you use that, have an extra legendary item equipped just to like overpower your character in that instance? Yeah, and they did say a non-visual stat bonus. So just any sandbox asset that you own could go in that slot for a boost, which would probably affect game balancing down the line somewhere.
Yes, exactly. So it would affect the game balancing, I think, quite strongly, because, and it would also could interfere with the creator's wishes, because maybe they set it up so that you have exactly specified equipment and thus a specified power level, and with that you could basically break the game. I think we are currently revisiting the inventory and how the NFT slots work and how the abilities work. So I think there will be some changes introduced along this year. But for now, I would say no, we would not introduce such a slot, like an invisible stat slot.
All right, question from Julie Sancho. Is there any possibility in the future that we can call or use a message to wear equipment? Like when you collect an item, it will equip automatically.
Yes, it would be the auto equip feature. We're planning it right now.
Awesome. Tempest Studios asks, maybe facetiously, when stackable inventory items. That sounds like the same balancing issue that you'd have with just an additional slot.
Yeah, I don't know if it's about inventory items so like items you put onto your avatar. I think it's about also if you collect like if you have 3 wood items that they stack, and
Yeah.
so that you don't use that much inventory slots. I think, Leandro, that's something you're currently looking into, right? So you're working on the inventory and the overall changes of the inventory. But yeah, I think stacking shouldn't be that much of a problem. So that if you, for example, have 3 times the same item, that it's not making it taking up 3 slots in the inventory, but actually just one with a 3 attached to it or something. So you know that there are 3 items.
What I would like to see, if I could put in my suggestion, is a message to consume. So if you are using variables to show how many like potions you're holding, and then on screen you see that you have 3 potions, and then you can press a hotkey from your numbers to consume it. So you have a little bit of like Diablo style gameplay where you've got inventory hotkeys.
That is possible at the moment. So both you have the consumables in the inventory, which you can consume in your inventory, which is a bit more, yeah, roundabout. But you can also, for example, set up, I don't know, a variable which you name potions, and then you have a stack next to it, which is 3. And then you can just define a hotkey which checks if you have a number greater 0 in your variable. If that's true, then calculate -1 for the stack, and then just send out a buff message with the heal properties attached to it. In this case, you could set it up to work on key input.
But you would still see the potion in your inventory, though, right?
Yes, you could,
Yeah.
and then use it up. Yes.
Okay. One last question from Fredenford. Any thoughts on adding items directly into someone's inventory so they don't need to collect them?
At spawn, we are looking into it right now. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. A question from Secret Meow just came in. The first-person camera allows players to move their direction only with your mouse. Can that be applied to other camera modes? Currently, it's really difficult to aim with just WASD. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I
we
understand.
currently don't have a free camera look in the third person view, for example. So I think maybe Nathan, that's something you can take over, what you've planned for the camera in the future.
The camera plans at the moment are focusing on the third person camera, but in looking ahead of that, once we get the third person camera to a stage where we feel it's solid and we're happy with it, we absolutely want to look at the other ones as well. So I think that's leave it with us, and our intent is to improve the cameras throughout the game as we go.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. That seems to be all of our questions. So, we are. I think we're gonna call it here, unless there's any last ones that pop in. I'm not seeing anything else in here. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to our staff here for answering all these questions, and thank you for the awesome presentation. I know 0.10 has been one of the most exciting updates. I mean, it seems like each update is more exciting than the last, but some of these features that we're getting here in 0.10 are really super awesome, and we're having such a fun time exploring them. So make sure that you all are tuning into our other live streams with Cyberdragon, PandaPops, Crafter, myself, and we will try to answer any more questions that you have about 0.10. We may be figuring out the answers right along with you, because some of these features, when you use them in combinations with each other, they just become so deep with what's possible. And of course, checking out the game jams, people are always finding awesome new things that we didn't expect. Cool combinations of behaviors and stuff. Is there a VoxEdit stream later today? I believe PandaPops is still having some internet issues, so probably not. But she's hanging around in the chat, so maybe she can answer that. Any last word from the team, or are we gonna call it quits here?
Yeah, from my side, thank you all for joining us, for asking those awesome questions. If you have, I think, any more questions, I think we have the Discord channel as well, and awesome community managers. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you guys for coming.
All right. Have a great rest of your week, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
See you
See you
guys.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.